I hit the cold floor before I even realized I was falling. My hands were shaking, my head pounding. The fluorescent lights above me blurred into white streaks as my coworkers shouted my name. I remember one thing before everything went dark: the sound of my phone buzzing endlessly in my pocket. When I woke up in the hospital, my dad's voice filled the room. "Sweetheart, are you okay? How long have you been working double shifts?" "Since a while," I muttered weakly, embarrassed. He sighed, guilt in his tone. "Is the $3,500 allowance not enough? I thought I sent it weeks ago." My heart froze. "What allowance?" I said. Silence. "Not the kind that's awkward, the kind that's heavy enough to break your ribs." He didn't speak again for a full 10 seconds. Then quietly he said, "Your mother told me you were using it for rent and groceries. She's been transferring it to your account monthly." I blinked, trying to process his words. "Dad, I never got any money." That was the moment his world, and mine, split in half. "My name is Emily Carter. And from wherever you're watching this, stay with me. Have you ever been treated like a stranger in your own family? Like your pain was invisible, your needs optional?" Because that's what I learned that day. I wasn't just forgotten. I was erased. Dad hung up without another word. 40 minutes later, he was at my apartment door, rain soaking through his shirt, eyes burning with a quiet, dangerous calm. He sat beside my hospital bed, looking like a man trying to stitch broken memories together. "Your mom said she sent the money to your account." "I never saw a dollar," I whispered. He took a deep breath, then scrolled through his bank app. I saw it clearly, $3,500 wired every month. The receiver's name made my stomach twist. Lily Carter. My sister. The golden child. The aspiring model Mom worshipped like she was made of porcelain. My pulse quickened. "She's been taking it?" Dad didn't answer. He just clenched his jaw, eyes hardening like stone. "I'll handle this." He left the hospital without saying goodbye. And that night, as I lay there under the dull hum of hospital lights, I realized something. The woman who gave me life had stolen my chance to live it. But she was about to learn. I wasn't the weak one in this family anymore. Because once I stood back up, I'd make sure every lie they built came crashing down with me. When I got home from the hospital, the first thing I noticed was how quiet the apartment felt. My phone was still dead from earlier, and so was I, emotionally at least. My body ached, but my mind was on fire. Then my phone lit up. "Dad, I'm at your mother's. Come if you can." I didn't even think twice. I threw on a coat and left. The drive to their house felt longer than usual, like the universe wanted me to replay every scar they'd ever given me. Every "we're proud of you," that sounded like pity. Every "you'll understand when you're older," that was just code for "we love her more." When I arrived, the house looked like it always did. Perfect. White walls, expensive art, not a thing out of place. But inside, chaos was waiting. Dad stood in the middle of the living room, his phone in hand, the screen glowing with proof: 12 transactions, $3,500 each. Mom sat on the couch, her face pale but defiant. And next to her, lounging like she was in a perfume ad, was my sister Lily. She looked up at me, half smiling. "You look tired, Em." I ignored her. My dad turned to Mom. His voice was low but trembling with anger. "So you've been taking the money I sent to Emily and giving it to her?" Mom scoffed. "Oh, James, don't be dramatic. Lily needed it for her modeling classes. Emily's always been independent. She doesn't need our help." The words hit harder than any fall. Independent? No, I was invisible. Dad's voice broke the air like thunder. "You let your daughter collapse from exhaustion while you funded photo shoots?" Lily flinched. "Dad, don't yell. It's not my fault, Mom." He cut her off. "You're 24, Lily. You knew that money wasn't yours." She went quiet. Her hands trembled, but her eyes flicked toward Mom, waiting for rescue like always. And Mom delivered. "James, she's got a future. You don't get it. Modeling is her career. Emily's just, what? Working in some office? She'll be fine." My heart cracked, but my voice didn't shake. "I collapsed at that office, Mom. I hadn't eaten properly in days. I was choosing between rent and food, while you were paying for Lily's facials and photoshoots. The silence that followed could have shattered glass. Dad turned slowly, looking between the two women he thought he knew. Then he picked up his car keys. Emily, come on. You're not staying here tonight. Mom stood up, her voice sharp. James, don't be ridiculous. But he was already walking toward the door. I followed, my legs weak but my heart beating harder than ever. As we stepped outside, rain poured again, same as before. But this time it felt different. Cleansing. Honest. Dad stopped beside his car and whispered, I don't know who your mother's become, but I know who you are. And for the first time in years I saw tears in his eyes. That night I realized, sometimes love doesn't break you, it shows you who's already broken. I stayed at Dad's place that night, a quiet condo downtown that smelled like coffee and rain. He made me tea and sat across from me, his hands clasped, his eyes heavy with guilt. I thought I was helping you, he said softly. Every month without fail. I trusted your mother. I stared into my mug, watching the steam twist like smoke from a fire I couldn't put out. She lied to both of us. Dad nodded. She did. And I'm going to make it right. But making it right wasn't enough anymore. Not after what I saw in Mom's eyes, that cold certainty that I was expendable. I couldn't sleep. Around 2 a.m. I got up, opened my laptop and logged into my bank account. Nothing. No trace of any money, just as I'd said. But something made me pause. I clicked into my sister's Instagram. She just posted a story. Late night shoot, new dress courtesy of Mom, 2 hearts, #grateful. My blood boiled. That same night I was lying in a hospital bed with an 4 drip. She was twirling under bright lights in a studio my allowance had paid for. I scrolled through her feed. Paris trip, LA studio, branded skincare, all tagged #momlove. Then I noticed something strange. One of her posts had a credit tag on a photographer's account. I clicked it, and found an email in his bio. For collaborations, bookings at cartermodels.com. Carter Models. My last name. I froze. That couldn't be real. I typed the email domain into Google. cartermodels.com. It existed. A whole website. A small, slick-looking agency promoting elite upcoming models. The owner's name on the contact page made my heart stop. Margaret Carter. My mother. She'd started a modeling agency. Using Dad's money. Using my allowance. My stomach turned. Every dollar that was supposed to help me survive had gone into building Lily's dream and Mom's brand. I could have cried, screamed, begged for it to make sense, but instead I just went cold. Dad was still asleep in the other room, so I opened his laptop too. He'd once shared his passwords with me for emergencies. I logged into his email and searched allowance transfer. There it was, every month a confirmation sent from his account. And every month the reply from Mom's email saying, received. Emily's grateful. I bit my lip hard enough to taste blood. She'd been pretending to be me. I forwarded every single email to myself, along with screenshots of Lily's posts and the website. My hands trembled, but my heart felt strangely steady. They had taken everything from me. Money, trust, even my identity, and built their empire on it. But I wasn't going to burn it down with anger. I was going to collapse it from the inside. When dawn crept through the window, I whispered to the empty room. They built their dream on my blood. Let's see how well it stands when the truth starts leaking. By morning, I wasn't the same Emily who had fainted at her desk. Something inside me had shifted, quiet, sharp, deliberate. Dad left early for work, but before he did, he said, I'll talk to your mother tonight. Don't worry about anything else, okay? I nodded, but I knew talking wasn't enough anymore. My mother had stolen from both of us, and she was too good at pretending to ever confess. I needed proof. Public proof. I opened my laptop again and typed cartermodels.com, my mother's secret empire. The website was neat and polished, filled with photos of Lily and a few other girls. There was a contact us section with Mom's business email and phone number, and a client testimonials page with fake reviews. Fake names. Fake companies. Fake success. But the payment page. That was real. Linked to a PayPal business account under Margaret C. Holdings. I clicked View Page Source. Years of working in finance had given me enough digital curiosity to recognize linked transaction codes. And there it was, a visible trace of bank routing numbers. I copied everything. Then I checked Lily's Instagram again. She was live. Laughing, posing, sipping iced coffee, saying, "Mom and I have a meeting with a new investor today. So excited for Carter Model's next chapter." Investor. That word sat in my chest like a ticking clock. She wasn't just taking from us anymore. She was about to take from someone else. And that's when I decided to play her own game. I made a burner account. A fake identity. Amanda Lewis, an event planner looking for models for a campaign. I emailed the Carter Models business page asking for a meeting. Within an hour I got a response. From Mom. "Hello Amanda. We'd be thrilled to collaborate. Our lead model Lily Carter is available for premium campaigns. Let's schedule a Zoom call this evening. Warm regards. Margaret Carter, Director, Carter Models LLC." She didn't even hesitate. No due diligence. No suspicion. Just greed in motion. I scheduled the call for 7 p.m. and set up my screen recorder. When the call started, Mom appeared in perfect lighting, pearls around her neck, smiling like she was selling heaven. Lily sat beside her, flipping her hair, acting like the world revolved around her reflection. "Hi Amanda." Mom chirped. "So happy you reached out." I smiled through the disguise. "Likewise. Before we move forward, could you tell me how you handle your client payments and model allowances?" "Oh, we're very professional," she said smoothly. "All transactions are handled through our official business account. My husband supports our financial operations, so everything is transparent." Transparent. The word nearly made me laugh. Lily jumped in. "Mom's the best at what she does. She helped me start my career from nothing." I leaned closer to my webcam. "Really? From nothing?" Lily smiled proudly. "Well, Mom believed in me when no one else did." I kept my voice calm. "And what about Emily Carter? Did she get that same belief?" The smile fell. Mom froze. For the first time I saw it, real fear flickering across her perfect face. I turned off my fake filter and revealed myself. "Hi, Mom." The silence was electric. "Emily," she whispered. "You stole from me. Built your company with money meant to keep me alive. How's that for professional?" Lily's hand flew to her mouth. Mom's face went paper white. Before either could speak, I ended the call. The recording saved automatically. The first crack in their perfect empire was sealed in a digital file, and I hadn't even begun to break them yet. The next morning the air felt different. Too still, too heavy, like the world was holding its breath. My laptop hummed on the kitchen table, the video file still open. My mother's perfect smile curdling into shock, Lily's eyes widening in fear. Proof. Real, undeniable proof. I stared at it for a long time before uploading it privately to a cloud folder labeled Carter Truth. Then I called Dad. "Don't go home tonight," I said quietly. "What's going on?" "Just trust me. I need a few days before you confront her again." He hesitated, but the exhaustion in his voice told me he didn't have the strength to argue. "Hey, be careful, Emily." When we hung up, I opened a new browser tab and began to type. Reddit. Subreddit. r/true off my chest. I took a deep breath and began writing. "My mom stole $3,500 per month meant for me while I worked 2 jobs and collapsed from exhaustion. She gave it all to my sister for her modeling career and built a business using my name. Now I have proof. I didn't use names, not yet. Just the story, raw and honest." I attached a blurred screenshot of the transactions and a clip of my mother admitting she handled model allowances. Within an hour the post exploded. Thousands of upvotes. Hundreds of comments. People were furious, calling it emotional abuse, financial theft, narcissism. One comment stuck with me: "You don't need revenge. Just truth. Let it breathe in the open air." But I wasn't done breathing yet. That night I made an anonymous Instagram account, called it The Real Carter Truth, and posted a single video. A blurred clip of my mother saying, "My husband supports our financial operations, so everything is transparent." Caption read, "When transparency hides theft." Within 24 hours, it hit 80,000 views. Lily posted a story that morning, her tone shaky but defensive. "People will believe anything on the internet. Don't trust rumors." Except it wasn't a rumor anymore. It was a countdown. Because every day I released a little more. Day 2. Screenshots of her emails pretending to be me. Day 3. Proof of CarterModels.com registered under my mother's name. Day 4. A short clip of Lily thanking Mom for her investment. Each post hit harder than the last. And soon the internet turned its gaze from curiosity to fury. I watched from the sidelines as comments flooded their pages. How could you do that to your own daughter? This is disgusting. That poor girl deserves justice. Mom finally shut down the website, but it was too late. Screenshots lived forever. Then one morning I woke up to a text from her. Mom, Emily. Stop this. You're destroying the family. Me, no Mom. I'm just showing them what you built. She didn't reply. But later that day a private message came from Lily. Lily, I didn't know Em. I swear. Mom told me Dad cut you off. Please believe me. For a moment I almost did. But then I remembered every time she'd smiled while I struggled. Every new outfit she'd flaunted while I skipped meals. Believe you. I typed back. Not yet. But I'll give you one chance to prove it. Because part of me didn't just want revenge anymore. I wanted truth. All of it. Even if it hurt both of us. And something told me Lily had more to hide than I ever imagined. Lily showed up at my apartment 2 nights later. No makeup, no designer coat. Just a hoodie and rain-soaked hair clinging to her face. For a second I saw the little sister I used to braid hair for, the one who'd crawl into my bed when Mom and Dad fought. But that version of her was long gone. She stood in my doorway, shivering. Can I come in? I hesitated, then stepped aside. She sat on the couch, staring at her hands. Mom's losing her mind, she said quietly. The agency's crashing. Sponsors are backing out. She blames you. She should blame herself, I said flatly. I know, Lily whispered. That's why I'm here. I crossed my arms. You said you didn't know about the money. Her voice cracked. I didn't. Not at first. But when I found out, Mom told me you were fine, that you didn't want Dad's help. She said you offered the money to me. I laughed bitterly. And you believed her. Tears welled in her eyes. I wanted to, because it made it easier to take it. The words hung between us like smoke. Then she pulled out a flash drive and placed it on the table. This has everything. Bank statements. Contracts. Emails. Mom forged your digital signature on 3 of Dad's transfers. She made it look like you gave consent. My heart stopped. She forged my signature? Lily nodded. I couldn't stop her. She said if I told Dad she'd ruin me, she'd tell everyone I only got gigs because of her contacts. He could. She owns every deal I've ever signed. I stared at the flash drive, feeling the ground tilt beneath me. The betrayal ran deeper than I thought. Lily wiped her face. I'm sorry, Em. I'll testify if you take her down. I looked at her, the golden child finally stripped of her shine, and for a moment, I felt something almost like pity. Do you mean it? I asked. She nodded. I'm tired of being her reflection. I took the flash drive. Then help me end this. That night I plugged it into my laptop. Folders opened like wounds, Carter models and differentials, client contracts, transfers and family, and one final file named Do Not Open, private. I opened it anyway. Inside was a scanned contract. Mom's signature and mine side by side. Except the date was from a week after I'd collapsed at work. She'd faked a loan agreement in my name, claiming I had borrowed $42,000 from her, the same amount she'd stolen. It was insurance. If I ever spoke up, she could claim I was the thief. The room spun. My mother hadn't just stolen from me. She'd built a trap to destroy me if I ever fought back. I called Lily immediately. We're not just exposing her, I said. We're going to burn her kingdom. Legally, publicly, completely. She didn't argue. For once she just said, tell me what to do. And for the first time in my life my sister and I were finally on the same side. Not Mom's. The storm outside raged until morning, but I didn't sleep. I was done being the invisible daughter. Now I was the one holding the match. Lily showed up soaked and hollow-eyed like someone who had been trying on guilt until it fit. She smelled like cheap coffee and the kind of fear that won't leave you even after you scrub. She stood in my doorway for a long minute, watching me as if measuring whether I was still the little sister she used to copy homework from. You shouldn't have done that. The posts, she said finally, voice small. Mom's furious. She's saying you're trying to ruin her life. She ruined mine, I said. You don't get to call it ruin when she built it on my back. She flinched and then pulled a plastic envelope from her bag like it weighed nothing. but her hands told the truth. "I have something," she whispered. "It's on a drive. I stole it from her office last week." For a second my brain refused to move. Every instinct screamed to push her away, to let her face the fallout alone. Then I saw how her hands shook, how raw the apology was in her eyes. I let her in. She sat across from me, the apartment light making her skin look thin. "She forged your consent, Lily said. "She fabricated bank memos. She created a loan in your name so if anyone asked she could say you were indebted to her, not the other way around. She even set up a shell company, Margaret C. Holdings, to funnel Dad's transfers through. I saw invoices with my name on them, ghost vendors, fake receipts. She was building an alibi." My lungs tightened. I wanted to scream until the ceiling cracked. Instead I reached for the envelope, hands steady now. Inside, a flash drive, a stack of printed emails, a cropped screenshot of a scanned contract with my signature, forged so expertly the ink pattern matched mine from a school permission slip. "You knew?" I asked, not sure if it was directed at her or the paper in my hand. Lily closed her eyes. "I suspected. I asked once and she told me you gave permission because you wanted to help my career. I believed her because I was selfish and terrified. But when the agency started landing real money, I asked for a breakdown. That's when she locked me out, called me ungrateful, said I owed her everything. I thought it was manipulation. But I don't know. I didn't know she would go this far." I plugged the drive into my laptop. Files spilled across the screen like a confession. Accounting ledgers with line items labeled Emily Allowance rerouted to Carter models. Email threads where Mom instructed photographers to bill Emily Carter. Model allowance, though Emily Carter was me at a desk job, collapsing in a hospital behind a curtain of lies. There was one file named emergency.pdf. My throat closed when I opened it. A signed contract dated after my collapse, claiming I had accepted a private loan for $42,000 to invest in business development. Money that in reality hadn't come from me but was the total of the monthly allowances. The contract outlined consequences if I disputed the loan. Public accusation, legal claims, character assassination. My mother had not only stolen, she had pre-signed a vendetta. Lily's voice broke the silence. "I can testify. I can show the originals. I'll tell Dad everything. I'm so sorry. I hate that it took me this long." For a breathless second I imagined the courtroom glare, my mother's pearl necklaces glinting under interrogation lights, Lily standing beside me not as a prop but as a witness. The fantasy felt like waking up into a world that might still have justice. But then a colder thought folded over me. Mom had contingency plans, lawyers on retainer, sympathetic friends in the right places. If we went loud without strategy, she could bury us under lawsuits and smear campaigns. I set the drive down gently and met Lily's eyes. "Then we don't go loud yet," I said. "We build the case. We protect ourselves. We make it impossible for her to gaslight the truth away." She nodded, relief and terror mingling on her face. Outside, the city moved on, ignorant of the gravity in my small living room. I felt something ignite inside me, less ablaze than a slow, ruthless heat. "Tomorrow," I said, "we take the drive to a lawyer. We freeze the accounts. We make sure what she did can't be rewritten. And if she tries to fight us in public, we already have the footage to end her alibi." Lily's fingers found mine across the table, an old, fragile tether reknit in the worst possible weather. For the first time in years we were on the same side of the line. As she left, the rain had stopped and the streetlights looked mercilessly clean. I closed the door and sat with the files, feeling the weight of every stolen month press into my bones. They had planned my silence like a debt collector plans an ambush. I would pay them back in truth. I parked outside Dad's building with the flash drive burning a hole in my bag like a live coal. My hands were steady but my heartbeat sounded like a warning drum. This wasn't just an accusation anymore. It was evidence. It was the map out of the maze they'd trapped me in. Dad answered in slippers and a robe, his hair more salt than it had been a month ago. The lines around his eyes had dug deeper. When I handed him the drive, his fingers trembled. He didn't speak. He simply closed the door and the three of us, me, him, and the truth, sat at his tiny kitchen table like conspirators. I laid everything out. The forged contracts, the emails, the screenshots, the video of Mom smiling and lying. I watched his face as I walked him through it, the slow collapse of a man realizing he'd been paying for his own betrayal. "How long did you know?" Dad asked finally. There was no accusation, only raw, exhausted hurt. "Long enough to collect proof," I said. "Long enough to know we don't fight her alone." He swallowed and the last of his denial fell away. "I'll hire a lawyer," he said. "We'll freeze the accounts. His voice broke. For the first time in years he seemed smaller and more human than the man who'd always tried to shield us with money and silence. We called a lawyer the next morning. Ms. Alvarez, a woman with iron in her smile and fire in her questions. She listened then leaned forward. "This is criminal embezzlement and fraud," she said. "You have signatures forged, shell accounts and admissions on camera. We can file a restraining order to keep Margaret from moving assets and pursue civil damages. But you must be careful, she'll fight dirty." We drew up a plan like military strategists. First, freeze the corporate accounts tied to Margaret C. Holdings and Carter Models. Second, file for a temporary injunction to stop transfers. Third, prepare packets of evidence to hand to the bank's fraud department and if necessary to the press. Ms. Alvarez's voice was calm but precise. Every word she spoke snapped my scattered fear into a focused hunger. Dad signed forms with hands that had finally stopped shaking. He looked at me across the table and for the first time I saw the man who hadn't only been a provider, he was a victim too. "I'm sorry," he said like a prayer I hadn't expected. "We'll get it back," I told him, though I didn't know if money could mend the years of missed dinners and empty apologies. "And we're going to strip her of the excuses she's built." That afternoon I texted Lily. "Tonight. Family dinner. Be there." It was bait and she swallowed without thinking. The plan was surgical. A dinner where we'd confront them publicly with the restraint order and hand over copies of the evidence to their lawyer. If Margaret erupted, cameras and witnesses would be there. If she chose to flee, the injunction would catch her. If she lied, the recordings would follow. As the sun set, I sat in the car outside a quiet bistro watching their house across the street. It looked innocuous. Manicured hedges, soft lights, a postcard family facade. But the postcard had been printed on stolen paper. Dad arrived, older and steadier. Lily came after him, eyes hollow with fear and resolve. We walked in together like a small army. Inside, before the meal began, Ms. Alvarez set a manila folder on the table. Copies for Dad, for Lily, and for the family lawyer Margaret might call. She didn't raise her voice. She set the papers down and said, "These are the filings. We're freezing Carter Models accounts now. A criminal referral will be made tomorrow." Silence fell like a curtain. Mom's hand hovered over her wine glass. For a heartbeat she looked like the woman I once believed loved me. Then she smiled. It wasn't a smile that reached her eyes. It was a practiced curl of lips that had fooled banks and photographers. "You can't do this," she said softly, venom wrapped in velvet. "You think you can ruin someone with a click in a file?" I slid the small recorder across the table. "You already did, Mom. You proved how easily you can lie to the world. Now the world will hear you say it." Her laugh cracked like ice. The first public crack in her armor had opened, and the stones beneath it were shifting. I felt it in my bones. This was only the beginning. The restaurant was too quiet. Even the silverware seemed to hold its breath. Mom's eyes darted between me, Dad, and the lawyer. The woman who once commanded every room she entered suddenly looked small, a queen cornered by her own crown. "You don't understand," she whispered, voice trembling with restrained fury. "Everything I did was for this family. For your image," I shot back. "You didn't build a family, Mom. You built a brand, and you used me as the funding." Her mask cracked. "You were always so ungrateful, Emily. You had nothing going for you. At least Lily had talent, potential, beauty." Dad's voice slammed across the table. "Enough." The entire restaurant turned to look. The sound of his voice, calm but cutting, froze even her. "I spent 11 years believing you. Every lie, every excuse. I watched my eldest daughter work herself into the ground while you stole from her, while you told me she didn't need us. Do you know what that makes you?" Mom's mouth quivered. "I did what I had to." "No," he said. "You did what you wanted." He slid a copy of the injunction across the table. The golden seal at the top caught the light like a blade. "Carter Models is frozen. Your assets are under investigation. Your name is on every forged document. You don't just owe Emily, you owe the law. For the first time I saw her knees shake. The napkin slipped from her lap to the floor unnoticed. Her face. The face that once smiled for family photos, PTA meetings, every perfect Christmas, began to crumble. "I can fix this," she murmured, voice fading into panic. "We can say it was a misunderstanding." "It's over, Mom," I said quietly. Lily's voice joined mine, soft, breaking. "You don't have to lie anymore." Mom looked at her youngest, searching for a lifeline that wasn't there. "Lily, baby." But Lily only shook her head. "You made me into your mirror. I'm done being your reflection." The lawyer stood, gathering the folders. "Mrs. Carter, I suggest you find representation. The financial fraud unit will contact you within the week." Mom didn't answer. She just sat there, staring at nothing, while the world she built on lies folded in on itself. We walked out together, the three of us, Dad, Lily, and me, into the cool night air. For the first time in years, the silence between us didn't feel heavy. It felt clean. Honest. Dad turned to me. "I can't undo what I missed. But I'm here now. For real." I smiled faintly. "That's all I ever wanted." Lily slipped her arm around me. "You're not invisible anymore, Em." I looked up at the sky, that endless, forgiving black, and let the truth settle. I hadn't just gotten revenge. I'd reclaimed something deeper. Myself. Mom's downfall made headlines a week later. The fraud case trended online under #TheCarterTruth, the same tag I'd started. The modeling agency dissolved. Her partners pulled out. Dad reclaimed the savings she'd hidden. I didn't post again. I didn't need to. Because revenge isn't always about fire. Sometimes it's about letting someone drown in their own reflection. And when she finally did, the water went still.